Zara Thompson always found comfort in the quiet corners of the library. Among the rows of neatly stacked books, she could escape the chaos of high school life and immerse herself in the world she loved. Today was no different. Her notebook lay open, filled with notes, equations and sketches for the upcoming science project. The afternoon sun streamed through the tall windows, casting a warm glow over her focused expression. But tranquility, she was about to learn, could be fleeting. Jinwoo Park strutted into the library, earbuds in, oblivious to the quiet please signs. A tall figure in designer clothes, carrying an impressive pile of textbooks, he was the kind of student everyone knew, not for his grades but for his charm and wealth. In one careless moment, a stack of books slipped from his arms, tumbling toward the floor in a clatter. Zara looked up just in time, her hands reaching instinctively to help. "Here, let me," she said, gathering the books with practiced ease. Jinwoo blinked, startled. No one had ever rushed to assist him without hesitation or admiration. "Thanks. I didn't expect anyone to." His voice trailed, caught somewhere between embarrassment and curiosity. For a brief moment, the world seemed to shrink to just the two of them. Her calm eyes, his surprised ones, a spark of something neither could yet name. "Don't mention it," Zara replied, handing him the last book with a small, polite smile. Jinwoo hesitated, then awkwardly returned the gesture with a hug, a clumsy yet sincere motion that lingered just a heartbeat too long. In that simple touch, a quiet connection was made, and neither of them realized how much that single library encounter would change everything. The next morning, Zara was already at her desk, neatly organizing her notes, when the teacher announced group assignments for the upcoming science fair. She scanned the list and froze. Jinwoo Park. Her pulse quickened, not out of fear but because she knew working with him would be interesting. Jinwoo swaggered to her desk with his usual confident grin, dropping into the seat across from her. "Looks like we're partners," he said casually, flipping his hair. Zara arched an eyebrow. "We are. Let's make sure we actually get this done." He laughed lightly, the kind of laugh that made heads turn, but Zara didn't flinch. She had no interest in being dazzled. She wanted results, not charm. As they began planning their project on renewable energy, the contrast between them became obvious. Zara had her ideas clearly mapped out, meticulous and thoughtful, while Jinwoo's approach was scattered, ideas jumping from one to another, more flashy than practical. Yet there was something magnetic about him, she realized. Behind the spoiled exterior, he had a spark of creativity Zara couldn't ignore. And for Jinwoo, Zara's sharp mind and calm presence were both intimidating and captivating. By the end of the session they had a rough draft ready, surprisingly cohesive. Jinwoo leaned back in his chair and smirked. Not bad for a first day of collaboration. Zara shook her head, smiling faintly. Not bad indeed. Before leaving, Jinwoo stood awkwardly. "Thanks for, putting up with me." Zara tilted her head, curious. He shrugged, then gave her a brief hug, less clumsy than the first time, but still hesitant, as if he wasn't sure what was allowed. It was warm, unexpected, and somehow comforting. As Zara watched him walk away, she couldn't deny it. This partnership was going to be more than just schoolwork. And maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't mind. High school could be cruel, Zara thought, especially when whispers traveled faster than the speed of light. By the third week of their project, rumors about her partnership with Jinwoo Park were spreading like wildfire. Some students were curious, some jealous, and a few downright mean. Zara kept her head down, focusing on research and experiments, but she couldn't ignore the occasional snide comment or sideways glance. She wasn't used to this kind of attention. It wasn't flattering, it was uncomfortable. Jinwoo, however, seemed unfazed. In fact, he noticed the way others were whispering, the way a few classmates tried to belittle her achievements. And while his usual reaction would have been a witty remark or teasing smile, he surprised her. During lunch, when a couple of students tried to mock Zara for hanging out with Jinwoo, he stepped in. "Hey, back off," he said, calm but firm. His protective tone was different from the arrogance everyone associated with him. It was genuine. Zara felt her cheeks warm, both embarrassed and grateful. She hadn't expected anyone, especially him, to stand up for her. After the crowd dispersed, they walked together across the courtyard in silence, the air between them lighter. "Thanks," she murmured softly. Jinwoo shrugged, his usual smirk softened. "You don't have to thank me. I don't like seeing people pick on someone smart, especially when it's you." For a moment, Zara's chest fluttered. He stopped, glanced at her, and without thinking, wrapped her in a quick, comforting hug. It was brief, but it carried reassurance she didn't know she needed. As they continued walking, Zara realized something. Jinwoo Park wasn't just the spoiled, charming student everyone whispered about. He could be thoughtful, kind, and maybe, just maybe, he was starting to care for her in ways that would change both their lives forever. Zara had always believed that first impressions could be deceiving. Jinwoo Park, the spoiled, popular Korean student, had proven that in more ways than one. Behind his confident smile, there was a complexity she hadn't expected, one she was beginning to understand. It happened during a study session in the quiet of the library. Jinwoo fidgeted, unusually distracted, glancing at his phone and tapping his pen nervously. Zara noticed but didn't comment immediately. Instead, she focused on the project, letting him ease into conversation. Finally, Jinwoo sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's complicated," he admitted, voice quieter than she had ever heard. "My parents, they expect perfection. Always. And sometimes I don't know who I'm doing it for, me or them." Zara paused, surprised. She had expected arrogance, teasing, maybe even eye rolls, but not vulnerability. She closed her notebook and looked at him with sincere curiosity. "You don't have to hide it here," she said softly. "You can be honest." He hesitated, then shared small pieces of his life. The pressure of family expectations, the loneliness hidden behind his social image, the fear of disappointing those who demanded so much. Zara listened, offering no judgment, only understanding. By the time he finished, Jinwoo seemed lighter, like a weight had been lifted. "Thanks," he murmured, a small genuine smile forming. Zara nodded, and without thinking, Jinwoo reached out for a hug. It was longer this time, slower, comforting, as if both of them found reassurance in the other's presence. He pulled back slightly, their foreheads almost touching, and for a brief moment, the library felt like the safest place in the world. Walking home afterward, Zara realized something she hadn't before. The boy who seemed spoiled and untouchable had a heart that longed to be understood. And maybe, she thought, that heart was slowly finding a home in her presence. Saturday morning brought a rare break from schoolwork, and Jinwoo had a mischievous grin plastered across his face. "There's a school fair today," he announced, leaning casually against the gate. "You in?" Zara raised an eyebrow, half amused, half curious. "You want me to go to a fair with you?" He nodded, shrugging. "Why not? No projects, no pressure, just fun." Reluctantly, she agreed, telling herself it was harmless. When they arrived, the fair was alive with color, laughter, and music drifting through the air. Jinwoo dragged her from one game to another, playful and competitive, and Zara couldn't help but laugh at his antics. He bought her cotton candy, teasing her with tiny bites, and she responded with playful swats at his arm. The gap between the spoiled, confident boy and the one she was seeing now, the one who laughed freely and listened intently, felt enormous yet comforting. As the sun began to set, they found a quiet bench at the edge of the fairgrounds. Jinwoo nudged her gently. "See? Not everything has to be serious." Zara smiled, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I suppose you're right." He hesitated for a moment, then with a shy grin offered a hug. This time it was warm, lingering just long enough to feel intimate but safe, a small gesture that said more than words ever could. Zara felt a flutter in her chest she couldn't ignore. Between laughter and playful teasing, the afternoon had shifted something in both of them. The boy who had once seemed untouchable now felt like someone she could know, and maybe even trust. Walking home under the soft glow of evening lights, Zara realized that friendship was no longer enough for her heart. Somehow she wanted more, and she suspected Jinwoo felt the same. By midweek, Zara noticed something different about Jinwoo. He seemed restless, distracted during their project meetings, and occasionally brushed off her suggestions with an impatient smile. Normally she would have ignored it, but this time it bothered her. "You seem off today," she said softly during lunch, her notebook open but forgotten. Jinwoo leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. "I'm fine," he muttered, but his eyes avoided hers. Zara sighed, setting down her pen. "I don't think you are. You've been dismissive, and it's not like you." He hesitated, then finally admitted, I don't always know how to act around you. You're so focused, so smart, and sometimes I just mess up." Zara blinked, surprised. The arrogance she was used to had melted away, replaced with honesty. She softened immediately. "You don't have to try so hard. I don't expect perfection." Jinwoo looked at her, a flicker of relief in his eyes. "I just don't want to ruin what we have." At that moment, without thinking, he pulled her into a hug. This one was steady, reassuring, carrying an unspoken apology and understanding. Zara rested her head against his shoulder, letting the tension dissolve between them. After a long pause, he stepped back slightly, a shy smile on his face. "Better?" he asked quietly. "Much better," she replied, smiling in return. The small conflict had passed, but the moment left them closer than before. Zara realized that even when things felt uncertain, Jinwoo's willingness to listen and apologize made their connection stronger. As they packed up their things for the day, Zara couldn't help but think, maybe love wasn't just about grand gestures. Sometimes, it was about understanding, patience, and the warmth of a hug when it mattered most. The hallways felt heavier than usual that afternoon. Zara's usual calm composure was replaced with a quiet tension she couldn't shake. A family issue had weighed on her mind all day, and the last thing she wanted was to appear distracted during their project meeting. Jinwoo noticed immediately. He watched her from across the table, frowning as she stared at her notes without focus. "Zara," he said softly, leaning forward, "what's wrong?" For a moment she considered brushing it off. She wasn't used to opening up, especially to someone like Jinwoo. But his genuine concern softened her defenses. "It's something personal," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, silently acknowledging her hesitation. "You don't have to talk about it if you're not ready," he said. "But if you do, I'll listen. No judgment." The sincerity in his voice struck her. Zara had seen him as spoiled, self-centered, even untouchable, but this Jinwoo, the one sitting across from her, offering comfort without expectation, was different. Slowly she shared pieces of her worry, the part of her life she rarely let anyone see. Jinwoo listened, nodding gently, his eyes never leaving hers. When she finished, he reached out and hugged her. This hug was quiet but steadfast, a simple gesture that said he was there for her, no matter what. It wasn't flashy or dramatic, it was real. As they pulled apart, Zara felt lighter than she had all week. "Thank you," she murmured, a small smile breaking through the stress. He grinned back, that playful spark returning to his eyes. "Hey, that's what partners are for, right?" Walking home together afterward, Zara realized something important. Jinwoo wasn't just someone she had to work with. He was someone she could trust, someone who could hold space for her heart without judgment. And maybe, just maybe, that trust was slowly turning into something more. The evening air was crisp as Zara and Jinwoo walked home together, their steps falling into an easy rhythm. The week had been long, filled with schoolwork and late nights of project planning, but tonight something felt different. Lighter yet full of an unspoken tension. Jinwoo stole glances at Zara, trying to gauge her mood. He had been holding back feelings for weeks, but after everything they'd shared, small victories, quiet moments, and that day in the library, he couldn't keep them inside any longer. "Zara," he began, his voice low, almost hesitant. She looked up at him, curiosity in her eyes. I like being around you. More than just a partner or a friend. I think about you a lot." Zara froze, her chest tightening in a mixture of surprise and something warmer. She had felt it too, the moments when his smile made her heart flutter, the gentle way he listened, the unexpected care he had shown. I like you too," she admitted, her voice soft but steady. A wide smile spread across Jinwoo's face, and for a moment the world seemed to pause. Without thinking, he reached for her, pulling her into a hug that was tender, lingering, and full of relief. It wasn't just a hug, it was a confession, a promise, a moment of shared honesty that neither of them wanted to end. When they finally pulled apart, their eyes met, both shining with unspoken understanding. The city lights reflected in her eyes, and for the first time, Zara felt completely seen. Walking the rest of the way home, their hands brushed accidentally, sending sparks of warmth through both of them. The air between them had changed, lighter, but charged with the possibility of something beautiful. That night, as Zara lay in bed, she realized that life could surprise you in the gentlest ways. A boy who seemed spoiled and untouchable could also hold your heart with care, and maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something real. Saturday evening arrived and Jinwoo was unusually nervous. He had planned a simple, thoughtful date, not the flashy kind that everyone expected from him, but one that showed he genuinely cared about Zara. He waited outside her house, holding a small bouquet of flowers, a shy smile on his face. Zara opened the door, surprised but delighted. "Flowers?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Just a little something," Jinwoo said, shrugging with a nervous grin. "I wanted today to be about us. No distractions, no pressure, just time together." They walked to a nearby cafe, where they shared a quiet table tucked in the corner. The conversation flowed easily, from favorite books to dream careers, their laughter mingling with the soft hum of evening chatter. Jinwoo listened intently, genuinely interested in her thoughts. and Zara found herself opening up more than she ever had with anyone else. After coffee, they strolled through the park, the soft glow of streetlights illuminating the path. Jinwoo reached out and gently took her hand. It wasn't forced or dramatic, just a quiet, steady gesture that made Zara's heart flutter. "I'm really glad we're doing this," she said softly. "Me too," he replied, his voice warm. Then, leaning slightly closer, he wrapped her in a hug. It was tender and reassuring, a silent promise that he cared deeply and wanted to be there for her. They lingered for a moment, neither wanting to break the connection. As they walked back toward her house, the night felt charged with something new: hope, trust, and the kind of closeness that only comes from truly seeing one another. Before she stepped inside, Jinwoo squeezed her hand gently. "Same time next weekend?" Zara smiled, her heart full. "Absolutely." That night, she realized something important. Love wasn't about grand gestures. It was about the quiet moments, the steady support, and the warmth of a hug when it mattered most. And with Jinwoo, every moment felt like the start of forever. Graduation day was brighter than Zara had imagined. The school courtyard buzzed with excitement, laughter, and tears of farewell. She adjusted her cap nervously, her heart racing, not from nerves about the ceremony, but because Jinwoo was waiting for her at the edge of the crowd, a wide smile lighting up his face. "Hey," he greeted, walking toward her with effortless charm, but his eyes were soft, sincere. "Hey," Zara replied, smiling back. They spent the ceremony side by side, sharing quiet jokes and stolen glances. As speeches were made and diplomas handed out, Zara reflected on their journey, from a chance meeting in the library to awkward first hugs, from small conflicts to heartfelt confessions, from friendship to love. Afterward, Jinwoo took her hand, leading her to a quiet spot under the old oak tree near the courtyard. "Zara," he said, voice steady, "I know school is ending, but I want you to know something. I don't just like you, I care about you, and I want to be by your side wherever life takes us." Zara's heart swelled. She had imagined this moment countless times, but now it felt real, warmer than she ever expected. "Jinwoo, I feel the same. Always." Without hesitation, he pulled her into a long, comforting hug. It wasn't just a hug. It was a promise of love, trust, and forever. They stood there, wrapped in each other's warmth, the world around them fading away. As the sun set, casting golden light over the courtyard, Zara realized something profound. Love was built on trust, understanding, and the small, meaningful moments shared together. With Jinwoo, she had found all of that, and more. They parted the hug, hands still intertwined, smiles lingering. Together they walked into the next chapter of their lives, hearts full, ready for the future.